Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to increase your stats straight away from the next game if you implement the tips I give you in this video. So these are the super basic things in order to improve your win rate, but at the same time also improve your average damage, which is also quite important in my opinion. And sometimes I value average damage over win rate, to be fair, on a specific tank, such as a tier 10 tank. It doesn't matter if your account average damage is 2k, but it depends on which tanks you're doing very well, right? So the important thing here is the first thing is to aim properly. Like, the amount of people that do not aim properly is astonishing. People whiff their shots all the time, and this really makes or breaks your game and your stats in general, guys. And I'm being honest, if you whiff a shot, it can impact your whole game. So make sure to hit all of those shots, especially on drum tanks. Because drum tanks or auto reloaders really have bad DPM if you miss a clip. Well, if you miss a shot in the clip. If you're in a chieftain, it won't necessarily make a lot of difference if you sort of whiff one shot, right? But in a drum, in a T57 heavy, for example, if there's two enemies coming at you and one of them has exactly 1000 HP and you only penetrate two, then you're sort of screwed, right? Then you're guaranteed to lose. So please make sure to hit all of your shots. And how do you make sure this happens? By waiting a little bit more. There's so many people who are very impatient with their shots, and this makes them whiff. Please, when you're taking a shot, just think about it. Make sure the circle gets super duper small, at least the smallest it can get, and then shoot. Because some people just turn their turret and click the shoot button, and the shot just goes into, into the moon, man. And this is a big problem. I have seen a lot of it. So please try and seriously make sure to aim your shots, right? Another thing is your survivability. This is directly linked to how well you're going to perform in the game and in your stats as well, right? In your stats, there is a percentage which is like survival rate, for example, and you want your survival rate to be as high as possible. I'm not great at this because I like to play frontline in a lot of my tanks, but if you are sort of patient enough, you will be able to do a very good damage as well. Because again, if you're the first person on your team to die, you're obviously not going to be doing that much damage. It makes perfect sense. It just will not happen. Therefore, you need to make sure you die as the last or second last person in your team. Make this your goal. Last or second last in your team, and then you're going to actually survive more. And the longer you live, the longer you're going to be able to impact the game, rather than rely on teammates who might not be very, very good, right? Because we all complain about teammates and that they're not good, but then why do you die first and let your teammates take control of the battle? No, you should try and survive, and in order to survive, again, you need to make sure to keep your HP alive. Keep your HP and you will survive. Because I see a lot of players who trade shots immediately without really thinking about it. Don't trade shots. Allow your teammates to take the shots for you, and you can keep your HP. Again, that way you can directly impact the game more, and you don't have to rely on an external factor in order to win a game. So this makes perfect sense, guys, at least in my opinion. And again, use your teammates as bait. Any good player is going to tell you to do the same. It's not something cool to go, and take 5 shots to your teammate unless it's necessary for the win. At the start of the game, I see people who just go in, take shots for their team, and then they die, and then they wonder why their win rate sucks. Well, because you rely too much on your team, and your team is low-key bad, So yeah, getting that out of the way as well, you also have to make sure that you choose and pick the right tanks. If you only play tanks like the IS-7 or the IS-4, well, your damage is obviously going to suck. I'm sorry, because these tanks are not meant to do damage, right? The mouse, for example, is not meant to do damage. You'd be far better off in a tank like the AMX-50B, a T57 Heavy, an FV4005, for example. And these tanks are much better suited to do damage. Even mediums are very good at doing damage. For example, the Leopard. So if you take tanks like that, you're going to be far better at doing damage. But then again, if you suck you sort of need to learn the game step by step in your IS-7, in your IS-4, in your mouse, in your E100 before jumping straight away into harder tanks like the 50B. And again, you need to know when to transition or when you can sort of play these things. Because I know a lot of people who jump into the AMX 50B, they die immediately, and then they're like, this tank sucks. Well, not really. It's just that you're not necessarily using this tank correctly. So again, choosing and picking what tank is suited for you is also very important for your stats. Because again, if you take a Leopard or a Bat Chat as your first tier 10 heavy, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have a very bad time and your stats are going to absolutely suck, simply because you took and chose the wrong tank. And this makes perfect sense to me as well. So try and go for those heavier tanks initially, as I always say, and then transition to those mediums, sort of those AMX 50B drum tanks, etc., etc. So these would be my top 3 tips in order to have better stats. The first 2 being the most important: shoot well and survive long, and you will actually do well in any tank. It's just that the third tip makes some tanks harder to do damage in, and choosing the right tank would be much more optimal. So these are my top 3 tips you must implement straight away, and you're going to have better stats. So tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And with that, happy is out, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.